remember me from this video, and in that video I promised there would be a part 2, and after almost a year, the time has finally come. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. After months and months and months, I have finally made the part 2 of the MLP redesign video. Believe it or not, I actually finished the illustrations months ago, but due to my chronicle procrastination, it took me forever to get this video done. Eventually, after enough self-encouragement, I finally completed it, and I really hope you guys enjoy. So for Pinky, she's actually one of the easier characters to design. In terms of body type, I already knew that I wanted her to be a lot curvier than the other girls. This is just mostly because she is a foodie. Throughout the series, we see her eating lots of sweets and all types of snacks, so I figured it would make the most sense to have her be more curvier than the other girls, and I also made her to be a bit more petite as well. For her color palette, it was pretty clear that I wanted her to have everything she owned in pastel colors. However, even though she wears mainly pastels, similar to Fluttershy, she still has her distinct style and color palette that made her different. For instance, I mainly stuck with these colors, whereas for Fluttershy, it heavily leaned towards a more warm, spring-like palette. A lot of her clothing was mainly pink, to the point that I was low-key questioning if it's too much because almost everything is quite literally pink, but I still think it worked out in the end. I did give her some accents. I chose this banana yellow and this kind of powdery blue that's almost like periwinkle-ish because I think it looks super cute on her and it really tied well with the rest of the colors. Side note, for the skin tone or the race of these characters, I don't really think much about it. I just kind of go with whatever I envision these characters to look like if they were human. So please, let's avoid too much dispute regarding the skin tones. I will not welcome any argument that this one is supposed to be this or that, because they are literally ponies, for Pete's sake. They could be any race or color. Now that we got that out of the bag, let's talk storyline. I'm thinking that Pinky moved here not too long ago. Initially, she lived with the Pie family until she eventually moved out to become a party planner, and she ended up here. She took multiple jobs at first before she finally landed a job at Mrs. Cakes' bakery / cafe. Despite her lack of experience when it comes to baking, by some miracle, Mrs. Cakes trusted her enough to be a waitress because of her eccentric personality. Side note, her little cake bag was supposed to be baby pink, but I think the banana yellow suits it a lot better. At first, she had a really rough time, but she worked her ass off and eventually she got better and better until her love for baking and pastry making grew. She still gets gigs of party planning every now and then, but it's more of a side hustle at this point in her life. Now, this cafe will be vital in the story because this will be the place where they will kind of all meet / hang out and bond. So this is their Pop's Diner, basically. And with that, this is our finished Pinkie Pie. Not gonna lie, I was really nervous by the amount of pink that this particular design had, but I really think it worked out in the end. So now that we're done with this, let's move on to Rainbow Dash. So I have a little confession. When I was a kid, Rainbow Dash is probably the pony that I disliked the most out of the main 6. Okay, so hear me out. I think this is mainly because she was the pony that I resonated with the least. I know she's very important, quite literally, because without her, the main 6 would not get the cutie marks that they did. But it's just, I think it was mainly because she was kind of boyish, and she's also very sporty, which is very unrelatable for someone like me. So yeah. Regardless of my feelings about her, I still wanted to do a decent job. So for her character design, my main source of inspiration was the Olympics. Yes, that's how long overdue this video is. The Olympics was literally happening when I was making it. I kind of just browsed at reference photos that I could find, specifically female athletes who played basketball, since in the OG series, it's kind of her main sport. Based on my references, I wanted her body to reflect her athletic prowess, so I gave her more muscles, and she's also the tallest out of all of the girls. I really love the idea of her having rainbow braids, so I gave her those, and I also drew her in an afro when she's doing something a bit more casual and less vigorous. I was a bit hesitant to give her this hairstyle at first, since I've never drawn anyone with an afro before, but it's totally worth it. I think she looks really, really good. For her job, since we don't have the Wonderbolts, we can have her and Applejack as colleagues, and that's how she meets the other girls. I chose this sky blue as the color of her fit because it's quite reminiscent of her pony form, and I think it looks pretty good on her, and with that, we are done. We could even have her and Applejack to be kind of partners in crime, at least when it comes to solving the Sunset Shimmer case and helping out the pony Twilight turned human. Now onto our last girl, another favorite of mine, Sunset Shimmer. I know I previously mentioned that Rarity is my favorite, and she is, don't get me wrong, but in Equestria Girls, I deeply fell in love with Sunset Shimmer. Her backstory with Princess Celestia and her whole redemption arc is easily one of the greatest things that ever came out of Equestria Girls as a franchise. Sunset Shimmer is what Starlight Glimmer thinks she is, but isn't. Alright, before I go on a tangent to slander Starlight Glimmer, let's focus on the real deal. As I said, I absolutely fell in love with Sunset Shimmer as a kid, and even as an adult, I think her character development from being a villain to learning the importance of friendship is portrayed in a believable way, at least compared to other characters, which makes it really easy to empathize and root for her, especially when you think about the fact that she was essentially a teenager when she got banished from her home. Thinking about it now, that sounds hella traumatic. Imagine being banished to a completely different realm, not knowing anyone. We don't even know if she had any family back in Equestria, but I can only imagine how hard that must be. She's going to play a pretty big role in the plot of the story because she's essentially the catalyst for the story to happen. Still gonna follow a very similar plot as the first movie, where she's going to steal the crown, try to use it to influence the people of Ponyville and the human world. However, Pony Twilight will somehow put a stop to this with the help of the other girls. I know that this whole plot is kind of very half-baked. The biggest dilemma that I have is the fact that they're literally no longer in high school. They are fresh graduates, but it can still sort of work. All of them don't necessarily have to know each other beforehand, but they have to at least have some sort of connection, like an invisible string to bring them together. For instance, Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, and Applejack could have went to the same college, with a couple of them being childhood friends. Pinkie Pie could form a friendship with all the girls because the bakery is a go-to spot for all 6 of them, and she plans parties too, so. Also, it's a small town, and believe me, everyone kind of knows everybody in a small town, so it could work. For her style, I lean towards a very dark and edgy look. This is mostly inspired by her look in the first movie. She wears this black jacket a lot, and I just think it suits her personality really well. So in my redesign, I also gave her a giant leather jacket,
And since she plays the guitar a lot, I really wanted to design one for her. And it was really hard to pick the color for it, but in the end I gave her this sunset inspired ombre from pink to a bright fiery yellow.
I say that sunset is the catalyst for the story to happen because her actions will lead to a series of events that will solidify these girls' friendship and will guide her to a path where she redeems herself. And with that, this video is complete. Let me know what you guys think about the designs and the story. Maybe you have better ideas than me on how to bring these girls together given their current occupations in life, or how the plot should go. Comment them down below. I would love to hear them. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully it won't take half a year this time. Alright, bye.